Now, as I said, Obama is saying that BP will have to foot the bill for this cleanup. And sure, yeah, the company should foot the bill, but personally, when looking at this whole scenario, I don't think putting the blame on BP is really the right way of looking at things or of approaching the situation. I mean, sure, in many ways, yeah, it's the corrupt way the company is run, and it's the lack of safety precautions that is a lot of the problem. But after all, folks, BP is just a company name. And I believe we need to look a little deeper than the company itself, because companies such as BP and all companies are ultimately run by people. You see, we have a tendency to always blame companies for the problems that they cause and of fining the company. But no matter how many times it's done and how many times these companies are fined, they still continue their reprehensible ways, because corporations are designed in such a way that when a corporate entity is caught creating a problem or breaking an environmental law or doing some damage in some way, then all liability lies with the company and not with the company board of directors. But I would suggest that this corporate loophole needs to be closed, because what is actually needed is to look deeper to the individuals who own and run the company, to those who create policy and make the company rules, because it is the corrupt, profiteering scumbags who sit at the top of these companies who need to be looked at. They are the ones who need to be held personally accountable, and it is their assets which also need to be seized. And this needs to be done in order to clean up the mess that they have often quite intentionally created. See, that's the problem with corporate law, folks. It allows psychotic and sociopathic lunatics to commit major crimes against humanity while removing them of all liability for their crimes. You see, corporations always put profits as the first priority, always. So if the numbers add up and it turns out to be more profitable to carry out all types of environmental damage and then to simply pay whatever fines are incurred if they get caught, than to actually act in a responsible manner and to do things properly and safely, then it makes good business sense to just trash the environment and cut as many corners as possible in order to keep the bucks flowing in. And if you think corporate psychopaths like BP are in any way honest or act in any way that benefits the people, well, you've really only got to look at the $3.8 billion in profit that was made by the company in one quarter, and couple that with the company's decision to skimp on a $500,000 safety valve, and it really does speak volumes about the company, folks. And it shows quite clearly where the company's morals truly lie. And it shows quite clearly where the morals of those who run the company clearly lie. And, folks, I would say that their concerns definitely don't lie with the people or with the environment. But that's the thing, isn't it, folks? We blame the company. We always blame the company. We give these companies human-like qualities, and we hand out judgment and penalties to these companies. You see, the media have worked very hard to train people to think in such ways. Oh, there's been an accident, they say, and they say the blame lies with BP or with Shell or with Exxon or with the power company. And they're going to face heavy fines, they say, and we play along, don't we? We say, oh, that terrible company, yes, they should pay for the damage they've done. And we frown at the company logo and we sit back and say, what a terrible oil spill, and BP is at fault. And we watch as the company is publicly scolded and is made to pay for clean-up costs. And we feel better about it, don't we? But the real culprits are always forgotten, aren't they? The company directors, the CEOs, the ones who are actually responsible. We always leave them alone, don't we? I mean, occasionally someone will be brought forth to serve as a public scapegoat so that we'll have someone real to point the finger at, just now and then. But it's usually just for show, and it's for some type of mock trial, and more often than not they're released later on under some pretense. I mean, just look at people like Scooter Libby. Look at companies like Goldman Sachs. Look at slimeball banksters, blatant thieves and egomaniacs like Ben Bernanke. Total slimeballs. But they always just get away with it. And we turn and blame companies instead of those who are behind the companies, those who run the companies. when you look at it, companies and corporations are just dead objects. They're just logos in magazines and logos on signs. They're corporate smokescreens. Companies and corporations don't do wrong, folks. The people who run them do. That's where the attention needs to be focused. And that's really the bottom line to it all. And if there are corporate laws in place to protect these criminals and remove them from liability, then these laws need to be looked at. They need to be overturned. This is ridiculous. I mean, we the people create these corporate entities. We create this corporate system. Now, it's all us that creates all of these fictitious corporate entities. And we put them above the law and we allow them to trash the environment. It's ridiculous. They're all created by people. They're all run by people. They create this fictitious thing. We say, oh, it's BP. Oh, it's the Federal Reserve. Oh, it's Exxon. But it's not. It's the people that run them. These total slime balls. And they just get away with it because of these corporate smokescreens that are put in place to protect them. It's a big scam, folks. It's a big scam. But as I said, corporations don't do wrong. People do. The people who run these corporations, and that's where the attention needs to be focused. And as I said, if there are corporate laws in place to protect these criminals, then we need to remove these laws. These laws need to be overturned. And any lawyers, judges, or politicians who attempt to try and prevent this from happening, they need to be questioned, because it would appear that such politicians, lawyers and judges are complicit in crimes against humanity. Ultimately, corporate laws that are designed to protect corporate crime are no law, folks. They're entitled to no obedience. They are like Obama's decision to ban people from growing their own food that we are seeing with this disgusting Food Safety Modernisation Act, which is really nothing more than a Patriot Act disguised as a food bill. I mean, none of these so-called laws are worthy of obedience, folks. None of them are worth the paper they are written on. And there's really no grey area in any of this. There's none. Unjust laws are unjust laws. And that's that. And unjust laws are simply not worthy of any consideration. And not only that, but the criminals who enact them should be held accountable for their actions, because their job is to serve the people, and they're not doing so. People hold a far greater place in the world than any company, any corporation, or any legal system that does not serve the people. All of these things are simply facades. They are facades that have been created by people, but they are dead. All of them are simply dead, fictitious entities. They hold only the life that the people give to them through their participation in these structures, corporations, and systems. But all of them are simply just systems of control that are designed to remove power from individuals and remove liability from those who control the systems. And they are a big part of what helps hold the matrix in which we live in place. But they are nothing more. They are simply facades. When you can begin to see through these corporate facades, you begin to see the corruption that sits behind them. And you begin to see how easily this corruption could be addressed. And that's it, folks. And that is the biggest and most important challenge that is currently facing humanity. It's the removal of the corruption that exists at these high levels of our societies, because it is only through the removal of this corruption that humankind will ever be free. And this has to be done in a peaceful way. All that has to be done to remove it, folks, is to have people come into their power, to have people understand the power that they actually have. Our challenge at this time in history is to understand and thereby free ourselves of the matrix in which we live. And what is the matrix? The matrix is everywhere. The matrix is in every aspect of what you perceive with the five senses as being reality. It is the corporate-controlled mathematical hologram that's been constructed around your senses to obscure the real world from your perception. It's like a box that exists within a much larger building, and yet you can only perceive that which is inside the box. Within the reality of this box, all things are constructed via perception, and the method of harnessing perception itself as an individual, the very essence of you and what you are within this physicality, is DNA, and the interaction of DNA with the conscious energy field that makes up all of reality. Through the interaction of DNA with the photon light and phonon sound of creation, that this conscious energy exists as within this creation.